As a sports medicine doctor, this fight was one of the most shameful things I've seen on TV. Let's talk about Paul versus Tyson. This video is sponsored by SimpliSafe. Stay tuned to later in the video for an amazing discount on SimpliSafe comprehensive home security. And remember, there's no safe like SimpliSafe. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and my goal in this channel is to teach you more about the medical side of the sports world. Now, yes, I watched the fight. Turned out exactly like you'd expect a 58-year-old to look when they're out there boxing. I don't think anybody was really surprised after the fact. I think a lot of people hoped that we'd see this new, rejuvenated, energized version of Tyson, and he came out and a couple of rounds looked pretty good, and then by the end of the fight it was clear this was a 58-year-old man, and he looked like a 58-year-old man. And I have a lot of issues with this. I don't think this fight should have ever happened. I think it says a lot of bad things about the combat sports world and sets a really dangerous precedent going forward. We're gonna talk about the whole fight clearance approval process and then just physiologically why he looked the way he did. There's a lot of just true anatomy and physiology changes that explain why Tyson looked so bad and play a role in why this type of thing should not happen. So how did this fight even happen or get approved? Each state has an athletic commission that governs licenses for combat sports. It's not a national standard, it's state by state, and there's a wide variety of medical clearance processes and rules in place from one state to another. That probably played some role in where this fight happened because Texas has some of the more lenient medical clearance processes. So here you can see if you're going to apply to get a license, you basically have to have a medical exam. You have to have some negative blood work, which is pretty self-explanatory. You have to have passed an eye exam within the previous 6 months. And if you are over the age of 36, you are considered a older competitor and you have to have more favorable physical testing, limited, including EEG, EKG. So EEG is a very generic test of brain function, brain activity, but doesn't actually show you anything structural in the brain, and an EKG is for the heart rhythm. Then there you have the actual form of what has to be done for the physical. There's some very basic stuff in here about medical history, any history of seizures, headaches, dizziness, brain hemorrhage, chest pain, irregular heartbeats, cramping with exercise, asthma, very simple, basic medical history. Have you had a concussion, lost consciousness? Obviously for these boxers, this better be yes for all of them because they've all had head injuries pretty much at this point. And then again, here's that comment about being over the age of 36 is what they would consider an older athlete. Physical exam, for the neurologic exam, none of this is functional. This is very basic. How alert are you? Your cranial nerves. Look at somebody walk. Very simple finger, nose, and reflexes. This is extremely, extremely simple screening. Not anywhere near the level of complexity for something like what a professional boxer is walking into. And it's the same other than an EKG and an EEG for a 20-year-old fighter or theoretically a 90-year-old fighter. There's no upper age limit within these athletic commissions for when a fighter can be approved. And so let's say Tyson was 70. Theoretically, the medical commission, the licensing commission for Texas or any other state could approve him. There's no upper age cutoff, which is a huge problem because then you lose all ability to safely monitor. We'll talk a little bit more next about what we actually saw take place in the ring, why it all makes sense from a physiologic perspective. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video. Today's video is sponsored by SimpliSafe. Before my wife and I got married, her home was broken into, and without a home security system, it was an extremely traumatic and scary experience. Now with our son and even more important things to protect, we turned to SimpliSafe Home Security to take care of our comprehensive home security needs. Everything starts with their easy-to-use app. You can go in and configure everything with your base station and how it's going to respond to sensors, voice prompts, etc. You can also go in, and my favorite part, I think, view the live cameras really easily and quickly so that you can keep an eye on outdoor spaces, indoor spaces, and see exactly what's going on if an alert is triggered. But it's not just cameras that SimpliSafe has you covered with. They've got sensors for water. They've got motion sensors. They even have door entry sensors, which are extremely important for us right now with our little one who's just learned how to open doors. Right now, you can save 60% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for a select professional monitoring plan. Plus, get your first month free. Just head to simplisafe.com/BrianMD to customize your plan today. Simply put, there's no safe like SimpliSafe. Finally, I want to tell you about their new Active Guard outdoor protection. With SimpliSafe's Active Guard protection plan, they're going to anticipate and alert to potential danger before it happens. They have advanced AI technology that can differentiate your pets, family members, neighbors, and really try and stop that crime before it happens. So get started protecting your loved ones and your home by taking advantage of this awesome offer for, again, 60% off your select personalized protection plan by signing up at SimpliSafe.com/BrianMD today and get that first month for free. So now we got a license from the state of Texas for a 58-year-old Mike Tyson to compete against somebody much, much younger than him. So now he steps into the ring, and why did he look as bad, to be honest, as he did? It's all very appropriate looking based on his age and how your body changes with time. And let's talk about those changes. The first is going to be in the brain. So as we age, our brains will actually atrophy. Our brain volume will go down as the cells in our brain atrophy. It's a part of normal aging that happens to everybody at a different time point. In particular, changes that take place in the cerebellum. So the cerebellum is one of the structures within our brain, sits at the lower portion right here. There's going to be part on the left side, part on the right side, and our cerebellum is very important with coordination, with fine motor control. It's our ability to have good hand-eye coordination, to be able to manipulate proprioception, where our arms and limbs are in space. And so a boxer needs to have very good fine motor control to have that ability to understand where his punches are going, to be able to react quickly and have that coordination. As you age and get to be Tyson's age, you have expected atrophy, shrinkage of that cerebellum, which means it's not going to function as well. It's why older people have slower reaction time. And so, of course, you're going to expect a 58-year-old with normal physiologic brain atrophy to have slower reaction time compared to someone as young as Jake Paul. The other thing, neurologically speaking, is we know that Tyson has had a history of terrible neck problems. He's had neck surgery. He's talked about how all those bridges that he did completely wrecked his spine. And one real possibility is that he has some spinal or cervical stenosis. Kind of looked to me like when he was walking back around in the ring, he kind of had this wide, almost wobbling gait. The announcers kept commenting on how he didn't seem to have his footing. And one real possibility of that is if you have arthritis, degenerative changes in your neck that can press on the spinal cord, that can cause something called cervical myelopathy that can affect your fine motor control even more, and in particular can affect your balance and your gait. With Tyson's neck history problems, very possible that he has some cervical stenosis, leading to, again, differences in his gait, his stability, his quick moving on his feet, like we saw displayed in the ring. The next thing that's going to happen as you age is that your neurons are not going to conduct signals as well. And so again, when you're trying to react to a punch, you're trying to throw a punch, your nerves simply don't fire and act the same speed as they did when you were in your 20s. Our nerves are basically like wires, and we have this stuff called myelin that wraps around the nerves and allows them to conduct their signals faster. So this myelin sheath wraps around the nerve fibers and allows the electrical impulses to basically hop from point to point, which allows that speed to travel faster. As we age, we get degeneration of that myelin, which causes the nerves to conduct signals more slowly. As those nerves conduct signals more slowly, we don't make that connection from our brain to our muscles to throw the punch, to guard, to protect ourselves, and is again part of that expected aging process with how we look and act different athletically as we get older. And injury-wise, of course, we saw Tyson's been wearing this knee brace. They asked him afterwards if he's dealing with an injury. Almost certainly he's got arthritis in his knees. I mean, any 58-year-old high-level athlete is going to have some degree of degenerative changes in their joints, some old injuries from all the competition and previous things that they've been through. So, of course, his knees are going to be bothersome. He's not going to have quite that stability and that explosiveness. At the end here, I did also notice that Tyson's left arm, I don't know if it was just the camera angle, his left arm looked ginormous. I don't know if it's always looked that way, but I wonder if he was dealing with some sort of injury causing a lot of swelling in this left arm, because that left arm looks absolutely huge. So in summary, these athletic commissions, the medical staffs that are clearing these fighters, really need to step up and take some responsibility here and set some clear standards, because we're starting to see more and more of these exhibition types of fights. Tyson himself said afterwards that he didn't think this was it for him. He thought he was going to fight again. And there's no clarification or guidelines in these rules about the age gap and the age discrepancy. Now, I will admit, if Tyson was going to be fighting someone who was also 58 years old, where you have equal pairings of physiologic degrading in your reaction time, I think that's a lot more fair. And I think if you talk about risks, etc., To me, I don't have as much concern about that as fighting somebody with a very, very different physiologic advantage. This goes beyond just your skills as a boxer, and it's at the basic root of anatomy and physiology and how your body changes over time. Tyson can't fight that. Tyson can't train that. His nerves, his brain, his muscles are operating at a certain limit based on his age that cannot be overcome. And when you compare that to the power and the speed of a younger fighter, yes, the fighter can decide, Tyson can decide he's okay with the risk, but at the end of the day, the athletic commissions, the medical staffs are there to protect the fighters from themselves. And I don't really feel like these fights should be happening at this age discrepancy. I think seeing him out there was even more justification and validation of that. I will say it looked at the end like Jake was kind of aware of that whole situation and was easing off a little bit because he saw just how slow Tyson looked. And it stinks because it's not Tyson's fault. He's 58. Again, this is expected to happen. But it's really a shame, and I think we have to come up with some clear limit of an age difference if you get over that threshold. Texas considers over 36, I think it was, to be considered like an older, higher risk fighter. So I think if you're over the age of 36, there needs to be an age difference that can't be passed if you're going to have a sanctioned fight. Otherwise, don't sanction it. Don't even step in and try to give it this air of safety or medical clearance when you're allowing such a huge age gap and potentially someone to go out there and get seriously hurt. I don't think anybody had fun watching this. I think we all felt pretty kind of disgusted and sick to our stomachs seeing just how slow and kind of clumsy Tyson looked out there, which again is no fault to himself. This is exactly how you would expect a 58-year-old man to look, especially going up against somebody who's younger. So don't hold this against Tyson. If anything, hold it against this Texas State Athletic Commission. Hold it against the whole clearance process that allowed something like this to happen and will continue to probably allow it going forward until something bad happens, which is usually the case in these situations. I think the age difference is an easy place to start. If you're over the age of 36, keep it within at least 10 years of age difference, because otherwise you don't have a clear rule for if, say, an 80-year-old fighter or a 65-year-old fighter, or let's say even a 60-year-old Mike Tyson in 2 years, wants to come back and box somebody who's junior, and eventually it's going to catch up with everybody, and someone's going to get seriously hurt. So that's it for the video, everybody. Thank you, as always, for watching. Thank you again to SimpliSafe for sponsoring today's video, and we'll see you in the next one.